Hello, all you freedom-loving people. Welcome to another episode of Front Page. I'm your host, Scott Cameron Goulet. Elon Musk has taken a 9% position in Twitter, making him the largest stakeholder, even surpassing former CEO Jack Dorsey. So, what does this mean for Twitter? President Trump has put the full weight of his endorsement behind Sarah Palin as she runs for the Alaska House. And European voters seem to be influenced by the events in Ukraine, with Prime Minister Viktor Orban winning big in the Hungarian elections. And the next up to see is French President Emmanuel Macron. It appears that transgenderism may be the Democrats' downfall in Colorado in the midterms. Athletes and parents alike are not happy about the shift to transgender men in female sports. And winding up the episode, Russian President Vladimir Putin's approval rating at home has skyrocketed to 83% since the invasion of Ukraine. Okay, let's get into it. Tesla CEO Elon Musk acquired a 9.2% position in Twitter, making him the largest shareholder. It should be noted that he did not do this on a whim. Previously, Musk had criticized Twitter for not respecting freedom of speech, and he had asked his fans for their opinion on whether a new platform was needed. On March 25th, Musk tweeted out a poll asking, "Free speech is essential to a functioning democracy. Do you believe Twitter rigorously adheres to this principle?" Musk added in a follow-up tweet, "The consequences of this poll will be important. Please vote carefully." Of the approximately 2 million people who responded, more than 70% voted no. A day later, he tweeted, "Given that Twitter serves as the de facto public town square, failing to adhere to free speech principles fundamentally undermines democracy." Musk then asked, "What should be done? Is a new platform needed?" Many of his nearly 80 million Twitter followers have encouraged him to buy the platform or create his own. Conservative radio host Buck Sexton tweeted, "Yes, buy Twitter or please build one. Save the country from these psycho Silicon Valley libs." Musk later tweeted that he was seriously considering starting his own social media platform. About a week later, he acquired nearly 73.5 million shares of Twitter, slightly more than Vanguard's 8.8% stake and well above former CEO Jack Dorsey's 2.3%. Twitter stock rose more than 25% on his disclosure. It is unclear whether Musk will ask or be invited to join Twitter's board. In his securities filings, he stated that he plans to make passive investments, meaning he doesn't plan to control the company. But there is speculation that Musk will change his status and continue to buy shares or even try to buy the company outright, DealBook Communications reported on Monday. In a note to clients on April 4th, Dan Ives of Wedbush Securities said, "We would expect this passive stake as just the start of broader conversations with the Twitter board management that could ultimately lead to an active stake and a potential more aggressive ownership role of Twitter." Casen Securities analyst Eric Ross told the Wall Street Journal, "There's no such thing as a passive stake with Elon Musk. He's clearly going to roll his sleeves up." Many fans hope he will build another platform to defeat Twitter, as acquiring Twitter stock only makes Dorsey's assets rise. But building a new platform takes a long time. Let's see what Musk has up his sleeve that will change Twitter. Perhaps he will make it squawk. After Sarah Palin announced that she would be running for Congress in Alaska, President Trump endorsed her. On Sunday, he shared his full endorsement, saying, "Wonderful patriot Sarah Palin of Alaska just announced that she is running for Congress, and that means there will be a true America First fighter on the ballot to replace the late and legendary Congressman Don Young. Sarah shocked many when she endorsed me very early in 2016, and we won big. Now it's my turn." He also praised Palin for having to face many evil, stupid, and jealous people in her party who wanted to destroy her when she was running for vice president, but she stopped them. President Trump encouraged all Republicans to stand by her, saying, "Sarah Palin is tough and smart and will never back down, and I am proud to give her my complete and total endorsement and encourage all Republicans to unite behind this wonderful person and her campaign to put America first. There is a perception that mainstream media is covering the war between Ukraine and Russia in a big way to divert attention from domestic issues and to take pressure off the White House and to better position the Democrats for the midterm elections. Will this approach work? We can look at a few recent elections in Europe. Will the attitude of the candidates toward Vladimir Putin affect the voting? Maybe, or maybe not. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban is a controversial leader in Europe, but he won a landslide victory in Sunday's national election, winning a fourth term. According to Reuters, Orban's Young Democrats won 135 seats out of 199 with 68% of the vote after counting about 99% of the National Party vote. Peter Marquez's opposition coalition received 35% of the vote with 56 seats. Orban said, "We won a victory so big that you can see it from the moon." Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has worked with Russia. His relationship provided Hungary with the cheapest natural gas in Europe, provided a special loan for Hungary's nuclear power plant expansion program, and it provided for the opening of the Russian International Investment Bank in Budapest. In light of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Orban was forced to explain his close business relations with Putin. He said that his dealings with Russia were purely practical, and he said that mending relations with the EU, as the opposition coalition insisted, could draw the country into the war. Orban is one of the EU's longest-serving leaders. He believes that Hungary should not be in the middle of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, and he advocates helping the Ukrainian people, but refuses to supply Ukraine with weapons or to even allow them to be delivered to Ukraine via Hungary. Orban did, however, vote in favor of the EU sanction package against Russia. Orban stated that he defeated the left and the international mainstream media. He said, "We will remember this victory because we had to fight against a large number of opponents." He added, "We have never had so many opponents at the same time." He listed some of his opponents, including the Hungarian left, the bureaucrats in Brussels, the Soros empire and all its money, the international mainstream media, and finally, even the president of Ukraine. The slogan of the opposition happened to be Orban or Europe, with opposition candidate Marquez arguing that Hungary should be on the same side as the EU on the situation in Ukraine. Orban's slogan is peace or war. This limited the issue of Russia's invasion of Ukraine to the question, should Hungary take part in the war? This message was more effective than the opposition's focus on criticizing Orban's ties to Moscow. Orban also adjusted his immigration policy. He had a tough anti-immigration stance during the European refugee crisis, but he has shown his humane side to Hungary by opening the door to Ukrainian refugees since the end of February. Hungary has so far admitted more than 500,000 refugees from Ukraine. Marquez conceded defeat, but he said the election was not fair. The election was monitored by more than 200 international observers due to fear of possible fraud. It was the first time that this had happened within an EU member state. Critics say Orban tried to consolidate one-party rule by amending the constitution, by controlling most media outlets, and by readjusting election rules. Moreover, the Hungarian public's perception of the Russian-Ukraine war has been influenced by the state-controlled media. Nevertheless, Orban still won over many older rural voters who supported his traditional Christian values, various welfare policies, tax breaks, and caps on fuel and food prices. Before we move on to the downfall of Democrats in Colorado and the presidential election in France, please like and share this video, and please help us to spread the truth far and wide. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have already subscribed, please double check to make sure you are still subscribed. Okay, let's get back into it. The next one to be tested is incumbent President Emmanuel Macron. The French will head to the polls this month to choose the next president who will run the European Union's second largest economy for the next 4 years. Macron is favored, but his advantage over his rivals is expected to be much smaller than when he was elected in 2017. In this year's election, he faces stiff competition from the right. According to the latest data released by the French Institute for Public Opinion over the weekend, Macron and his main rival, who is the far-right National Rally leader, Marine Le Pen, both have a strong lead, but the gap between the two is narrowing. Polls show that the first round of voting favors Macron with 27%, while Le Pen has 22%. 2 weeks ago, Macron was benefiting from the round-the-flag effect brought about by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The effect occurs when facing war or a major crisis, the head of state can gain high support in a short period of time, and domestic criticism over governance is reduced due to this shift in public opinion during the war or crisis. However, the round-the-flag effect is gone, and the gap between the two candidates has narrowed from 11% 2 weeks ago to just 5% recently, which is raising the alarm for Macron's otherwise solid lead. The French presidential election will be held on April 10th and the 24th for the first and second rounds of voting. If no one gets an absolute majority in the first round, then a second round will be held, and one of the top two candidates who won the first round will be elected as president. In the second round of voting, the gap between Macron and Le Pen is also expected to be tighter. The two people polled recently 53% and 49% each. 2 weeks ago, the figure was 58% for Macron versus 42% for Le Pen. In addition to the disappearance of the round-the-flag effect, support for Macron has declined because he refuses to participate in public debates and he has done almost no campaigning. On the other hand, Le Pen, who has accumulated a strong public opinion base, has benefited from Macron's weaknesses, and he is now enjoying strong momentum with support increasing. Immigration and security issues have long been at the forefront of political debate, but polls show that purchasing power is now one of the voters' top concerns amid sharp rising energy prices and growing inflation. Economic recovery and whether it can be sustained is also of considerable concern. Polls show that voters are unhappy with Macron's economic policies. But with France's unemployment rate currently at its lowest point in years, those polled believe that his opponents may not be able to do any better. Another poll released by Alabi on March 2nd showed that 55% of French voters are most concerned about purchasing power, which is significantly outpacing public health at 27%, immigration at 22%, and education at a mere 16%. Although Macron may have an uphill battle, we have yet to see Le Pen make any real headway. In the case of Hungary and France, we can see that people are most concerned with issues that are relevant to their very own lives. Regardless of the attitude toward Russia, politicians should be thinking that if we can improve the economy, if we can control prices and ensure security, we will win the support of the people. For American voters, though, in addition to the issues listed above, there's also border security, education, and transgender issues. Since 2006, Democrats have had a large advantage in Colorado elections, but the recent controversy over transgender athletes has allowed the Republican camp to find a foothold to criticize incumbent Democratic Senator Michael Bennet. Republican challenger Eli Bremer pointed out that the Colorado seat has a chance to go from blue to red. Bremer, a retired Olympian who competed for Team USA in the modern pentathlon event at the Beijing Olympics in 2008, announced his candidacy in the Republican primary last week, hoping to take on Bennet in this year's midterm elections. In an interview with Fox, Bremer said that the controversy over transgender athletes could be a major turning point in Colorado's transformation in the 2022 midterms. Bremer said, "This is a lethal issue for Michael Bennet because historically Democrats have said that Republicans are the ones who don't stand up for women, but the tables are completely turned now. In fact, the vast majority of Democrats also find it problematic to allow transgender athletes to compete in women's races, especially since transgender athlete Leah Thomas, who made media headlines some time ago, won the women's NCAA 500-yard freestyle swim event." John Caldera, president of the Independence Institute, a Colorado-based think tank, told Fox, "This is an unfair competition. Leah Thomas, the guy, was something like 440th in the nation as a young man and #1 as someone who identifies as a woman." He added, "For people who say they're concerned for equity, there's no equity in that. That's just cruel. It's anti-female. I think girls deserve to have their own sports, and I think most of Colorado does too." Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an attack on Ukraine in late February, sparking an outpouring of international condemnation. Americans' trust in Putin has hit a near 20-year low, registering only 6% in a Pew poll. But a survey by an independent Russian pollster shows that President Putin's approval rating in Russia has surged. The Levada Center has been tracking Putin's approval rating since he became prime minister in 1999. His approval rating has stayed between 60 and 69% over the past few years. But since the February 24th invasion, Putin's approval rating has risen from 69% in January to 71% in February, and it exploded to 83% in March. The last time Putin's approval rating surged was in 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine and instigated a rebellion in eastern Ukraine, causing his approval rating to rise from 69% to 83%. As you can see, each person sees things from his or her own point of view, and the criteria for judging good and bad differs greatly. Next, I want to take a moment to thank you all for your support of Front Page. Your donation and your membership subscription are really helping us to continue to tell you the truth. Every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. We've heard from many of our viewers that they don't get notifications of our videos anymore from YouTube. So please follow us on Telegram, Gab, and Getter for the latest updates. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share it with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth. Again, thank you for watching Front Page, and we will see you next time.